Hello, and welcome to our Business Insight Talks. I'm your host, Giuditta Villa, Corporate Communication Director at Ayming. Today, I'm joined by Deputy Academy Director of the Management School of Politecnico of Milano, Rafaella Cagliano. Our topic today focuses on how companies can create value from sustainability-oriented innovation. Let me introduce you our guest, Rafaella, Professor of People, Management and Organization at the School of Management of Politecnico di Milano. She's Deputy Director of the Department of Management Engineering and a member of the Management Committee of Polimi Graduate School of Management. Thanks for joining us today, Rafaella.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Good morning.
Thank you. So, at Ayming, we help companies in their process to create more sustainable-oriented innovation. But I'm sure that some of the listeners might even wonder what it is actually. So, let's get started with my first question. What does it mean, sustainability-oriented innovation, Rafaella?
Sure. Well, when we talk about sustainability-oriented innovation, we refer to those innovations that involve making intentional changes to an organizational products, process, and practices, but also the philosophy and the values themselves that the company are pursuing. And this with the specific goal of creating and realizing social and environmental value in addition to the economic returns. And I would like to underline a couple of things in this, if you want, definition of what is a sustainability-oriented innovation. First of all, I would like to underline that this kind of changes should be intentional. That means that the sustainability should not just be a byproduct of an innovation that is intended to pursue other type of goals, but it's really an innovation that is thought and designed for getting better environmental and social performance for the company. A second thing that I would like to underline is that sustainability-oriented innovation is not just about innovating your product or process. Of course, this is part of it, but in many cases, the innovation is much wider, up to involving a radical change in the business model of the company or the same values and purpose of the company itself. And finally, I would like to underline that these innovations are typically aimed at achieving the so-called three pillars of sustainability, that is, beside the economic returns, also environmental and social value. In a new mindset, in a new approach to sustainability, what you're looking for is the so-called shared value. So basically an idea of finding ways through which you can get economic results while also producing some kind of economic, environmental or social value. Let me give you an example. You probably know Illy, it's a very famous Italian coffee producer. Some years ago, this company decided to undergo a very important innovation program to help green coffee producers improve their farming approaches, the methods that they were using to cultivate and produce coffee. And this was aimed, on the one hand, to get better quality, better coffee quality, and also more reliable source of coffee. But at the same time, this innovation improved their working conditions, to improve the environmental impact of their farming, and so on and so forth. So you can see here there was a value, an economic value that was created thanks to having a better coffee, but at the same time also a social and environmental value that was created through this innovation.
Thank you, Rafaella. It was a very clear and exhaustive description of what is the sustainability-oriented innovation. So you talk about radical change, and you also start giving us some of the main challenges. If we want to recap, certainly we know that most of the companies have already started their journey into this oriented sustainability innovation. But for the one that would like to introduce this kind of approach? Which will be the main challenges they will face?
Sure. Well, there are many challenges, of course, since I think that sustainability-oriented innovation is somehow different from, let's say, traditional innovation. The first thing is that sustainability-oriented innovation is, first of all, characterized by multiple objectives, multidimensional objective, if you want. And the problem is also the fact that these objectives are often in trade-offs. We already mentioned the first trade-off, of course, is between the economic performance and the sustainability performance. So unless you are really able to pursue those innovations where while you are, for example, reducing cost of your company, you're also getting higher level of sustainability, or if you want the vice versa, you're pursuing higher sustainability in your processes, but you are also able to cut costs because, for example, you reduce the use of energy or you reduce the use of some other scarce resource. Then in all the other cases, this is not possible. And so you have trade-off between sustainability performance and economic performance. But also, the other dimension of sustainability might be in trade-off between each other. Let's think about, is car sharing more sustainable compared to traditional transportation? Probably you say yes, but then you can think about other consequences of using car sharing. For example, you can reduce the use of public transportation, which is typically more sustainable compared to having a lot of cars around the city, although they are shared, so they are better used. So this is an example of what does it mean, trade-offs. Beside that, the other challenge that is related to sustainability-oriented innovation is the fact that there is a higher complexity and uncertainty in this kind of innovation. And both of them are somehow related to the fact that the knowledge that is needed for this innovation is more fragmented, less reliable, less mature, if you want. There is a lot of new knowledge that is needed to pursue this kind of innovation. And the knowledge is, if you want, is divided between the technical knowledge. Of course, technologies are very important to find solutions for sustainability. We have a lot of, for example, so-called green technologies that are emerging, that are technologies that allow to reduce the environmental footprint of what we are doing, but also many digital technologies have the potential to improve sustainability. Let's think about for example, the potential of artificial intelligence or blockchains to really improve the kind of data and information that you can share, and in this way becoming more sustainable. But beside the technical knowledge, there is also what we call this local content knowledge that refer to a better knowledge of, the problems, the demands, the needs of all the different stakeholders that you need to take into account. And this type of knowledge is something that is not easy to find in the typical stakeholders that companies used to work with, such as customers and suppliers. Probably this type of knowledge is better available in local communities, NGOs, local governments, or other type of actors like this that the company is not used to work with. So this is also a challenge. And finally, if you want, the third big challenge is that sustainability-oriented innovation are typically much riskier compared to a traditional innovation. So this means that it is not so obvious to create the business case for sustainability-oriented innovation, to arrive at clear economic value or a clear return on investment of these kind of innovations. So companies need to change their approach to evaluating innovations. And Yeah, please.
That's absolutely, and that was exactly so. Complexity is an issue. We see this also with our clients. So you've been talking about the technical knowledge and local content knowledge, but also financing those kind of sustainability-oriented innovation is certainly an issue, and is certainly one of the topics we are facing the most. So you were starting talking about which could be the approaches that company that would like to invest in sustainability-oriented innovation should take as a recommended behavior. Please tell us more about those kind of approaches.
Yeah, sure. What is very important for sustainability-oriented innovation is that this innovation is carried on in collaboration. Collaboration is needed in order to listening and taking into account the needs of different type of stakeholders. We need to go out and involve all the relevant stakeholders of our company in order to listen to them and to better understand what they need and how we can solve their problems. On the other hand, we need to access this new knowledge I was talking about before. This new knowledge is often in the hands of external stakeholders. I just give you an example. Startups are a very important source of knowledge for incumbent companies, but sometimes also NGOs, for example, as I was mentioned before, local knowledge is typically well known by NGOs that are really embedded into the local content in context in which companies want to operate. So basically, we can say that sustainability-oriented innovation is an open innovation, and we need to use the typical tools and methodologies of open innovation. A second suggestion that I can give is that also the process of innovation should be somehow different and can be inspired by the co-creation approaches or even the design thinking approaches. And this is because the traditional linear process of innovation is really not adequate for sustainability-oriented innovation, because there are continuous changing in the understanding of the problem, in the finding possible solutions, new needs emerging from different kind of stakeholders. So you have to continuously revise what you've done. You have to iterate your cycle, find new ways, and so on and so forth. So for this motivation, design thinking and co-creation approaches are really useful because they are thought to solve the so-called wicked problems, and sustainability is a wicked problem. And in particular, design thinking is aimed at better understanding the needs of the users, or in this case, are the beneficiaries of the innovation, and also to better understand the problem itself. I would like to mention the fact that we are trying to do something like that in a European project. This project is called Plutos and is aimed really at developing a process for sustainability-oriented innovation that is aimed at creating innovation in the agri-food value chain to have this value chain more sustainable and even more balanced. And we are trying to do that exactly through co-creation processes where you have farmers, technology providers, local communities, research centers, and also processing, distributing companies that collaborate along the value chain in order to find solutions for specific problems in that value chain. Finally, let me mention another important part of this new approach, that is the change in the metrics and indicators that we use for innovation. So, for example, we cannot just measure innovation through an economic performance. This is not the only relevant measure. We need to find a wider set of indicators, and here the GRI standards are a very good guide. It's one of the possible guides, but they are very good at suggesting possible indicators to evaluate sustainability. Another important measure is the so-called impact measure. That is the measurement of the impact that our innovation is making on people and planet, on the society as a whole.
Thank you. That was very interesting, this part related to how to measure the impact of sustainability-oriented innovation. What we've been talking about challenges, certainly opportunities, but challenges and complexity seems to be important. So maybe not all companies are ready to invest, especially for the financial impact on the sustainability-oriented innovation. So what would be the risk of not implementing sustainability-oriented innovation, according to you?
To me, it's quite clear. The risk of not investing in sustainability-oriented innovation is the fact that companies that did not change their business for sustainability-oriented innovation will not be able to compete anymore. I can mention a number of facts that support this statement. First of all, investors and financial institutions are looking at the so-called ESG criteria, so environment, social, and governance criteria, to decide to lend money or invest money. So being more sustainable means also be more able to access those kind of capital. Consumers are more and more willing to choose a sustainable product rather than non-sustainable product. There are some figures that says that 6 out of 10 customers are ready to change their purchasing behavior to reduce environmental impact or to have more sustainable product. And most of them are also ready to pay a premium price to get more sustainability. And let me mention another important thing that is not so obvious, but we see this more and more in companies. The fact that if you're more sustainable, you are more able to attract and retain talents because new generation especially, but I would say in general, people, employees are looking more and more at the sustainability and ethics of a company to decide if working with them or not. So this is also another important advantage you can take home with a higher level of sustainability.
Thank you, Rafaella. It really looks like there are many opportunities and your words encouraging us to keep giving a chance to companies keep investing in sustainability-oriented innovation, and also for the one that didn't start again to really introduce this kind of approach. So just one last question, really. It's how do you think the future of sustainability-oriented innovation will look like?
Well, the future that I see is that this will really become commonplace in the sense that it's really the way company innovate. And I can say that there are already a number of companies that put really together the concept of innovation and the concept of sustainability. For example, Nike has a unit, a department in their company that is exactly called Unit for Innovation and Sustainability. So the two are the same. So basically, this means that every innovation the company is doing is basically an innovation aimed at developing something new with a sustainable content somehow. So with an eye on the level of sustainability of what we are producing with such an innovation.
Thank you, Rafaella. It's such a passionate topic. So if there's one thing that listener might remember from this episode, which one would you recommend?
Sure. Well, I would say designing your business in a more sustainable way is no more an option. It's the way companies need to think about their future. And to do so, they need to innovate and innovate together with all the key actors in the ecosystem, and in particular, all the relevant stakeholders of the company. So this requires also to develop new innovation capabilities. And so this is the challenge that the company have to face.
Thank you, Rafaella. I will add on my side that collaboration and open innovation is going back to you, certainly to involve all the stakeholders will be definitely a key success factor for more sustainability-oriented innovation. So, Rafaella, if listeners would like to get in touch with you, what would be the easiest way to do so?
Well, just email me. I think you can share my email. It's raffaella.cagliano at polimi.it. So you can write me an email. I would be happy to reply to your questions or any comment you might have. I'm happy to share.
Thank you very much for your availability, and thanks again for being on the show with us today. That was Rafaella Cagliano, Deputy Academy Director of the Management School of Politecnico of Milano. Thanks for listening to the Business Insight Talks. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. And before we close, I would like to remind all listeners that this episode has been brought to you by Ayming. Ayming is a consulting company that for over 35 years has been helping businesses like you in make the most out of your innovation and taxes and human resources activities. No company should struggle in the field of human resources and innovation and taxes. If your company is struggling with performance in innovation taxes and human resources, then book your 30 minutes free consultancy with us on our website. We will see each other very soon with other episodes of Business Insight Talks. More ways to bridge the gap between profit and planet thanks to innovation and people. Stay tuned and ciao, bye now. Bye. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.